Is it a proposal?
I'm calling it a code of conduct.
Code
So
of
let me
conduct,
just
okay.
articulate the
Yep,
problem
perfect.
statement first.
Yep.
So, and I want to pick up on a point. I did get on a conversation with Google and TripAdvisor
Mm-hmm.
and called this out. Now, they did not use the word review. They used the word opinion. So it's the guest's opinion of the experience.
Mm.
They've also said they are not responsible for the honesty of that opinion, and that I shouldn't worry because I've got a 4.6 rating. Um,
They
that's
actually
what they
said that?
and I've got that in writing from TripAdvisor as well. So I've sold that by Google, and I've got in writing by TripAdvisor.
All right. Hello, TK.
Pete, how are you?
Very well. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
That's good.
How's the week?
It's been good. I'm excited to talk to our guest this evening.
Me too.
Who has
This is going to be a cracker.
evolved from a listener to a guest, which is it's a very unlikely hierarchy or move, which is great to see for the first time. Dwayn Lithgow from Banksia Seafood and Grill, and currently where we're talking to today from Hong Kong. Welcome.
Welcome, mate.
Thank you.
Yeah, good.
Dwayn, do you want to give people a little rundown? We've got some specific things that we wanted to talk about after we had a bit of some conversations over the last few weeks. And we teased it, I think, in an episode that people will probably see this week as well. But really keen to get into that. But first and foremost, your entry into hospitality, I suppose, is maybe not so traditional. Do you want to give people a little bit of a background for you, sort of the elevator pitch of where you've come from, and then how did you end up in hospo?
So I'm a very unique individual, if I have to say so myself. I'm a military veteran, a cybersecurity professional, a restaurant owner, and a student. One of the quotes that sort of I live by came from an Australian chief of army, and it's the standard you walk past is the standard you accept.
But General Peter Cosgrove.
Yes, yeah. And I was in the army for about 15 years, and I was in military intelligence. I did see operational service in Rwanda during the genocide. And then I spent a couple of years working for an Australian government agency in a security role. And for the last 25 years, I've been working for organisations across Asia, including Australia, providing managed cybersecurity services. So, yeah, stopping the hackers.
Yep.
What this has basically taken around Asia. On top of this, as well as cybersecurity, I'm a Six Sigma black belt. And what that means is that when you've got an opportunity to follow a process, you only accept 3.4 defects out of a million. So it's moving close to perfection.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it comes to client satisfaction, now for 25 years, I've had a KPI of meeting a certain client satisfaction metric. So that's sort of my background. 18 months ago, I bought a restaurant, and it's up in Hervey Bay on the Esplanade, Banksia Seafood and Grill,
Yep.
Casual fine dining, about 120 seats. We're one of the best restaurants in Hervey Bay, and that's not just me saying it, but it is the fact. I've appreciated every one of your podcasts, the no bullshit.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's a lot of substance in what you guys say.
You're probably the first highly intelligent person I've ever met who's actually stupid enough to buy a fucking restaurant.
Well,
what led to that? Let's go down that path. Like, what, you don't just wake up on a Tuesday and go, you know what, let's buy a restaurant. So, or do you? Maybe you do.
Actually, we did it. It was an Anzac Day, sitting with a mate having a beer in Brisbane, which said, "Why don't we buy a restaurant?" So it was sort of like that. But you take a step back. So my greatest memories always involve food and drink.
Great.
And they're even more special when I'm the host. My background in hospitality was that those jobs, and at one stage I had 3 hospitality jobs at once. That basically made ends meet for me.
Yep.
I worked in front of house, back of house. I've been a dishy, a kitchen hand, line cook, bartender, and waiter.
Yep.
So I just like the industry. I've met some of the most amazing, interesting, and broken people in that journey. So I just decided that eventually I'm going to have to retire. The company I work for has mandatory retirement at 60. I'm about to turn 59, so it's working out what I'm going to do, planning for a sea change.
Yep.
And I chose Hervey Bay. My grandmother's sort of used to be from there.
Yep.
And I will get there. I did want a job that was going to be a little less stressful than what I do now.
How's that working out so
That
far?
is not the hospitality industry.
We were probably about 18 months late for you when it
Yeah.
comes to this. So,
Yeah.
which is
It's like being in the Middle East every Saturday night.
yeah, this is Fallujah, but it's it is interesting. I think one of the things that looking at your background, none of it points to hospitality, I suppose, without those pieces that you mentioned, from early on, or and it does sort of certainly appear that you could be in that same realm that we've talked about a few times, where people get to this point and go, right, I can open a restaurant. One of the things that sort of sets you aside is you didn't open a restaurant, right? It was already there. It was a going concern.
That's correct. Yeah, it was 4 years. Interestingly, and I can get to this a little bit later. I'm very, very data driven. I've mentioned the Six Sigma background, but I bought an existing business, and I've kept the head chef who
Yep.
was the owner.
Okay.
I've kept the sous chef, some of the front of house staff. So it was an existing business. I was able to analyze what were any problems or concerns that I had with the business, and then work out a plan to address those.
And was there any kind of tools that you used specifically to do that, or was that just manual data extraction on your own?
It was manual data extraction, but what I did was I'd done a lot of research into the industry. I'd got a grant from the Queensland government to do a massive digital transformation of the business, which I did do.
Mm-hmm.
The business is very data driven and AI enabled, and I can get into what I use AI for.
I think we'd definitely like to chat
But
about that.
I was able to get through that analytics of what the previous owner gave and work out. And to your point, I'm not in this to make money. If we break even 3 to 5 points per month, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it is a passion project rather
Sure.
than something to make money from.
And when you say, just going back to that sort of that data analysis, I think, and certainly the idea of an outsider coming in, the more I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking that you're not coming in with any baggage, you're not coming in with any kind of history, preconceived ideas of what should be done.
Yeah.
I think that's a really interesting thought, because I know a lot of people just in business generally, they often do look to consultants and look to outside to analyse their business, or particularly change. When you look at bigger business, when you're looking at some kind of significant change, they bring people in for that. But you can almost do that from inside because it's your business, but you haven't been in it. So I like that, almost like it's you're almost once removed from it a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm also really intrigued about the grant component of what you mentioned in terms of, getting some money from the government for that digital transformation. How did that come about?
I found it on one of the Queensland government websites, and they'd listed a number of products, and I went through what products we had in the restaurant, and then went through and looked at the possible list. Then basically worked out how we could do this digital transformation. So things like 7 rooms to Open Table, WordPress to Squarespace, introduced Deputy, introduced Zero. Went through a whole lot of work, but each of those products has an API, so you can bring it in.
Yep.
And to a point that you made before, I'm actually on the business, not in the business.
Yeah.
And I've got 56 monthly KPIs that I can capture without talking to the staff. I've got that's monthly, weekly, about 17 KPIs, and you guys would definitely understand this. Your cost of sale, your spend per cover. I go through all of those. Your operating expenses, outgoings, etc. I go through all of those on a weekly and monthly basis, and then we have the power to pull levers. So there's those levers where you might modify your staffing to have your more junior resources on in a particular week, push your chefs to reduce the prep. You've got these levers you can pull to recover from a bad week, and then you really put your heart into the big weeks. So we literally had over 200 covers for Valentine's Day, to give you an example. So you put your heart and soul in that, your best foot forward, and then you come out the other side.
How refreshing!
Oh,
Somebody's that's looking at that stuff.
It's so. I was about to say something exactly the same. It's like the fact that I love that idea, and people always talk about working on the business versus working in it. And I think where historically, people that are in a similar sort of boat to you, Dwayn, have done this. They try and work in it. And with zero experience, not saying you have that, but other people do. They're like, this is my restaurant, I'm going to work in it. And they end up ruining it because they actually don't know what to do. So being able to, stand aside and just get driven by data is a really unique...
Well, how many times have you had a conversation with a restaurant owner and you say, what's your average check? And they go, don't know. What's your food cost? I don't know.
What's your biggest selling food item, selling...
Do you stock take? No.
Yeah.
And then they ask you for help, and you feel like going, I can't help you.
Yeah. Where do we start?
Because it's the bridge is too vast to cross. You know what I mean? The fact that you're looking at those analytics, it gives you such a head start before anybody even steps foot inside the restaurant. You know what I mean?
And I think that that live and die by the data is like that's where business in general will win.
Yeah.
There is that said, there is also we have a human component to our business that is critical, and we're going to get into that in a minute, I'm sure. And I think that's one thing that from a remote owner's point of view, there's only so much you can do. You can't be there to give someone a hug or give them a high five or do that kind of thing, and you've got to have great team to be able to execute that for you when you're not there. But this data-driven way of looking at things is something that I think more restaurants and cafes and anyone at any size, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Dwayn, but you would probably argue that this can be done at a 10-seater cafe or a 1,000-seat restaurant.
Definitely, and I've spoken to a number of people about the metrics they capture. There's a great restaurant chain up here called Black Sheep. I've sat down with them and asked, what do you measure? And they've given me some insight. So it doesn't have to be my list. It can be relating to your business, but for me, I have to measure these things and then pull the levers when we don't meet and I've benchmarked as well. So I know what I want my customer satisfaction. I know what I need, the percentage of your percentage of your food versus beverage. I've got the relevant metrics, but it has to suit my business. It can't be made up by a collection of businesses.
And every single business is different.
Absolutely, and it could only be 0.5% here or 0.5% there.
Yeah, because I have a conversation with our fast casual team. They ask about the food versus booze sales at Market Bistro, and I'm like, it's completely irrelevant because sometimes at Market Bistro, because of the top end wine we sell, can be 50-50, which is, it never happens in a restaurant.
Very rare.
Very rarely. And then sometimes when at Christmas time, it's 90-10 at Rice Boy.
Yeah.
Because people are just going in there, one bowl of ramen, one beer, one bowl of ramen, one Diet Coke, some takeaway.
That's all food.
They're not sitting down there dining.
Yeah.
So don't look at that and go, that's better than that.
You need to get it to 40%.
It's just different.
It's not going to happen.
No, that's what I mean.
And then you can end up trying to put square peg round hole. It's like it just doesn't work in those situations.
That's right.
So trying to find that balance, I think, is key. And I think that's a good point, Dwayn. It's like, and same as TK said, it's like it's got to work for you. So regardless of what benchmarking you've done, just because someone says 30 is the number, it doesn't mean that's the number for you.
No, that's right.
And that will take time to work out as well, because you can sit there and push and push and push, and it actually doesn't go anywhere. You're like, oh, that's what it is there. I've got to deal with that and focus on something else. So, I think that's a big part of it. But if you're not looking at the numbers, you're not going to see it.
No, that's right. And also understanding them as well, because you can have a knee-jerk reaction when you see your beverage costs spike to 40%, but it could be because you had a party that came in the night before and had 2 bottles of Dom Perignon, 2 bottles of Grange.
Yeah.
It's fucked your cost of goods.
Yeah.
But your bankable dollars is through the roof.
Absolutely.
I remember Philip Johnson said to me once in a passing comment, he goes, you can't bank percentages.
Yeah.
And I went, I didn't understand what he meant until I got into business myself. I'm like, you can really go 2 separate ways here. If your beverage cost spikes, just analyse the sales to figure out why.
Yeah.
Because it might be the reason why might be really positive.
Absolutely.
Because your margins might be shithouse, but you've banked a few $100 rather than
and that's why. And Dwayn, I'm a big believer of data, and then TK can attest to this. Like every week on a Monday when I was at Market Bistro, I'd pull the report for COGS for the weekend. I'd look at every single beverage product that was sold over the week for that week and go problem, no problem. Okay, why is that a problem? Why does that look like that? What do we do? Did someone modify it? Why did they modify it? There's a discount there that shouldn't have been applied. And that gave me the tools so that if there was a problem, it was fixed in a week rather than in 3 months or 6 months or a year. Yeah. When you get to the end, you look at a P&L, go, where the fuck's all the money? Yeah. It's like, well, you didn't get the COGS right. So, and also there's human error that happens. Like, we've all done things that are wrong. And I think, you price something, you're like, oh, I'll put it on for $12.99. It should have been $18.99. You just hit the wrong button or whatever. Those reports will pull that out. And you hopefully you've only sold one of them, so you can fix it. Yeah. But I think it's one of those things, again, it's like they're not. And the ability to see this, it's not hard, right? Because every point of sale software, it doesn't matter how simple the point of sale software is, it's going to have reports like that. And it takes some time to put in some data. I know certainly I've worked with businesses in the past where they're, like you said, they're not stock taking, they're not sort of taking care of that side of the business. And when you sort of say, well, you've got to put all the costs in for all the products, like, it's going to take forever. It's like,
but once it's there, you don't have to do anything. Yeah. Like our point of sale,
just check it.
Emails it to us every night.
Exactly. It's like it's all there.
You get up in the morning time and the data's there.
Absolutely.
And usually you got to go fishing for a few other bits and pieces, but the technology's crazy now.
Absolutely. And
that's only going to get better.
I still do that on a weekly basis. I look at all the sales in all the venues that we have, and I go through them and like, what's that? Yeah. Because if something's coming up with a 100% margin, I'm like, oh, it didn't cost anything. That's awesome. But it's also not true because there's going to be a cost for it somewhere.
Good today, shit tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, what is that? And so, and my team probably don't necessarily enjoy those phone calls when it's like, can you explain this to me? Because like, why does that have no cost? And it's just little things. It's not. It's little leakages like that it might be $5, $10, $20. But if that's on X amount of checks a day, in a week, in a year, all of a sudden that's your profit done. Mm-hmm. So how do you feel?
And this measuring is not just about your cost as well. You should be looking at what your competitors are doing. So we did a few things. We were having, we actually modified our trading hours to reflect what our competitors did. We decided to do things like Thursday nights, we have a live musician. We ran cocktail masterclasses, and we've still got those. They ran for about 6 months. We do a high tea. So it's doing those and then measuring the impact, but also looking for activities that are low cost but high value. Yeah. Putting a high tea between a lunch and a dinner that literally have minimal prep, minimal effort from your staff. That is gold.
Yeah.
So we did that as well.
It's a simple thing,
and avoid low margin, low cost things.
Correct.
Because it's just heaps of work for nothing.
Yeah, that's right. So. And I also think you've got staff in the venue anyway. The venue's open. You're paying rent. Yeah. I was going to ask about the opening hours thing because that's a question that I know I get asked a lot. It's like, should we stay open longer or should we close? And it's that fine line of like, oh, you've got to do the math because sometimes you could be better off closing. Yeah, like for either a day or a service.
And every venue is different, right?
100%. So to my question to you, did you do less hours or more hours?
Okay, we decided because, and when we were doing the introduction, you mentioned public holidays. We decided to close Mondays.
Yep.
So we don't open on Mondays. So, and we wanted to give the staff a bit of a work-life balance, and this came to analytics on the roster. So we closed Sundays and Mondays. Yep. And that's been really good. And then we opened lunch on Fridays and lunch on Saturdays.
Okay.
So and we did all the maths to work out, when would it be profitable? Now we're measuring, covers. We've still got a bit of a dip on Thursdays, and we know why that is. It's something that the RSL does, and it has an impact on us. So that's when we added the live music. So yes, we did a lot of work on that.
For people who don't know where Hervey Bay is, it's very regional, right? Like, what's the population up there?
About 50,000.
Yeah, so you're fighting for every dollar, right?
Yeah.
So
every customer.
And people need to understand that your opening hours should be a definite reflection of where you are.
And that's, like even
and what you are.
100%. And it's interesting because most people would look at it and go, it's a restaurant. Why aren't you open on a Sunday? And it's like, well, it's the most expensive day of the week to open for everything. So that's why. And it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But it's like, but people want to go out on a Sunday. It's like, well, that's fine, but not here.
No.
And I think that idea of you've kind of culled here and expanded into, you're fishing where the fish are. People want to go out on Fridays and Saturdays, so it's like let's open those up. It makes complete sense.
And if you're really regional, really hard to get good staff, and you can give two days off,
one of them being a weekend,
and carve how many? Like I'm just thinking, if I shut 2 days, I reckon I could lose 10 staff out of each venue.
Yep.
The rostering becomes so much easier.
Yep.
There's a lot to it,
Yep.
and I look at the fact that if you really analyse the data, and you can close for 2 days but still keep the revenue decent, you can provide some work-life balance for those staff. They'll be lifers for you.
I think it's also important, like you said, as to where you are and what you are. And
Absolutely.
Dwayn, you mentioned like a competition like the RSL, doing things on a certain days. I think that is so critical
Yeah.
for people when you're doing anything. It's like, look what else everyone else is doing. Really have a look. Competitor checks are critical.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily to go, oh, they're doing it better than us or worse than us or
plagiarise or whatever.
Yeah,
You just need to know the market.
What are we playing
What's
with?
working?
Who are we fighting against here? And it's not like you could be fighting with as well. I'm all a big believer in collaboration versus competition, but the idea is you've got a unique product that is going to get people there over them for whatever reason, or they'll go to you one week and then the next week, and that's completely okay as well if everyone's playing in the same pool.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you a question about the hours thing quickly, because that's something that I've been toying with some bits and pieces recently. What's your thoughts on a 4-day week for staff?
Yeah, we've got a lot of students.
Yeah,
We've got a lot of students. We've got a lot of backpackers that come through. You got the Fraser Coast. They want the hours. If we cut that down, plus when we started thinking about that, people look for a second job, and then you've got this other restaurant, it will give me more benefits
whatever.
or more pay, whatever. So we stick to the 5 days, and that's working out for the staff. Yeah,
and I think I believe in that 100%. And I think it's a lot easier. A lot easier to run a business when it's 5 days open. These are the 5 days, and that's your roster. It's a 5-day roster. Simple as that. So I think that would avoid a lot of problems in a lot of businesses.
And my 2 cents there is, it's not as much as the opening hours are critical, but make it easier for people to know when you're open. So, you see some people go, we're open for breakfast on Tuesdays and Wednesdays and lunch on Thursdays and Sundays, but not dinners on Mondays. And people look at it and go, fucking hell, I've zero idea what's going on here.
And what's worse is you turn up to somewhere thinking that it's open and it's closed.
It's so infuriating.
There's a couple of places, we've talked about this before, there's a couple of places on the coast here where, again, they don't open Sundays, and I'm just like, you're just throwing money away. But it's also the other side. I'm also like, but I get it, So it's like that. You got to have.
If
that
the market's
fine line.
not there, it's not there, right? You know
but
what I mean?
It's also admitting it as well, because ego comes into it as well. It's like you want to be there on the weekends, and maybe that's when, if someone's not necessarily working in the business, they're going to come in on the weekends. So it's like that's just it's tough. But okay, so
we do push events for the weekends, the days off. So we've been doing weddings, birthdays, etc. on the Sunday, and hours that we're not open. We've made it really simple for individuals to through our booking system to actually get an event, know how much it's going to cost, and etc. and giving them some sort of options. So that's worked as well.
I've recommended the Sunday wedding promotion to a few venues, because I reckon that's gathering more and more traction.
Well, because getting out of Fridays and Saturdays, it's a key thing. It's going to be cheaper for everyone. That's the thing. From the cost perspective, the labour's going to be, for an event like that, the labor's down anyway, generally speaking, because it's coordinated. Exactly. Everything's organised, so you can do it on a Sunday and still make money. But also, generally the W word in front of most things is going to mean there's going to be a 20% increase on everything. So it's like you're taking a restaurant on a Saturday night, you want exclusive use. It's like, sure, but you're going to have to pay this tax for that, right? Or you come the next day, we'll do it for lunch, it'll be amazing, and then we go. So that probably brings us to, the original kind of purpose of our conversation today, which is you sort of reached out to us, letting us know about what you were doing in this space of. I don't like using the word review because it's not a review, but let's use it for the purpose of this conversation. Online reviews and basically guest feedback, whatever we want to call it. And there's 100 different places where you can leave this now, obviously, with different channels of Meta and everything else. Everyone's got something where you can tell someone what you thought about your experience. So do you want to, I suppose, where did your passion for this particular thing? It arose out of
such a great email.
Oh, it was unbelievable. There's a reason why I reached out straight away. But there was a particular event, wasn't there, that kind of triggered this? Is that the right way to sort of say it?
Mm-hmm. Let me take a step back again. So when I was doing the due diligence for the restaurant, there was 1,000 reviews. And I'm not exaggerating. I used AI to analyze the 1,000 reviews and look for common issues with the restaurant staff. And I came in this with a preconceived idea of where we could improve. What I took the mindset that if every guest was being honest. That the reviews were factual, and I quickly realised it's flawed.
Yeah.
What we started seeing was this reoccurring issue, and I need to give you an idea. It's 70 reviews a month, and then we have issues with one or two a week. Mm-hmm. And what's emerging is that we go to the table, we at point of sale, we say, "How was your meal?" And we even can go as far as saying, could we have done better? 99% of the time, the guests say, "Great, loved it," and walk out. And then we have, one or two a week that then become keyboard warriors and leave something that could be a derogatory remark, it could be inappropriate characterization of our team, or it could be, factually completely incorrect. And what started happening was we even have guests that will then link, can I get a refund? Can I get a voucher? To a negative review. It's not to a positive review, it's a negative review.
So they're literally asking for that in the review?
No.
Direct
so
message?
they by email.
Sure.
By email.
That's becoming quite a big thing. If you give me $100, I'll take the review down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we see it now. Unless you do something about it, I'm going to post it on. And I'm shocked.
Yeah.
That's a red rag to a bull for me because I go, post away, motherfucker.
Yeah, there's wrong dude to say that too. So.
Yeah. And what we had last year we had a 3-star review. And to give you the background, a toddler ran into the kitchen during service. Right?
Awesome.
So that's what happened. And the restaurant manager was visibly shaken by that circumstance. She didn't handle the situation well, was sort of stuttering and etc. But the review came back that, is she snooty or on the spectrum? And I understand why she behaved the way she did. I tried to get that review taken down on both TripAdvisor and Google and failed. So that was the first one. The second one was more interesting. We had an individual, and I won't go into the exact details, but we had an individual who then put a 1-star review on both TripAdvisor and Google. And in the review, it was factually incorrect. What I did was I responded and said, "Come into the restaurant at this time, sit down with me and the head chef, and we'll talk through this, and I will give you a refund." Yep. He didn't come in, but then got on email, and it was like threats about making the review worse. Really, and even gave me his bank account details, just really abusive. And I sort of rang the individual.
Giving a cyber security guy
Jesus, I was
the
like,
bank account details, you could have fucked him up.
I feel like you're messing with the wrong dude. There's Jason Bourne over here is going to kill
Jesus Christ. I would have at least played with him, pulled all his money out, then put it back in.
And he gave me his LinkedIn profile as well.
God.
He gave me a whole
Jesus.
bunch of in the emails. He gave me a whole bunch of details, and there is so much I could have done with the data, which I didn't.
Yeah.
I rang him and just identified the falsehoods.
Yeah.
Advised him that he was never welcome again in the restaurant.
Yeah.
I then said to him that restaurants need the 1-star review to actually look legitimate.
Yep.
And so trying to take his toys away from him. But the attitude was just, I want my money back. And I'm saying, but why should I get money back based on a lie?
Yeah.
And he said, well, you said it online that you would give me a refund. And I said, it's very conditional.
Yeah.
You needed to come in and face the team.
Yeah.
But this one offended me the most because it starts with do not go. And then a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah. And I think this is the bit, and we've spoken about this before, and this is obviously, Dwayne, why we're sort of having this conversation, because and you mentioned it with the team, and I know that when we've spoken, and you said there was you've got physically upset people that the human cost of these kind of things, the keyboard warriors, as you like to call them, you said, and I agree with that term. There's other terms I'd use as well, but they don't care or understand that words hurt people and can be really crushing, depending on so many different factors. So it's that there's a part of me that is very much about that. If you don't have something nice to say, don't say it. But I understand that we have these platforms that people want to put things on, but where we come back to all the time is that no one's putting positive reviews. Like the positive reviews should be 500 times the negatives. I think in a lot of places. And there's so many people that just have a great time, will tell your team in the restaurant, hey, that was awesome, thanks so much. And they don't post, which they don't have to. Yeah. But they're going to go and tell 20 people that they had an absolute ball at Banksia. You should go down there.
And you know what? I'd probably take a slightly different approach, because I don't care about the 1-star reviews. I think there's a place for them. Like what you said before about the 1-star review is important to us. But the thing that motivates me to be so anti these review sites is just the fact that it's completely ungoverned.
Yep.
I can review a restaurant that I don't even know where it is, and I can write a savage blow by blow based on the information that I can find online about it, and I don't have to ever set foot in there.
Yep.
And and we all know that if you're a small independent restaurant in a regional area, it will fucking hurt you.
Absolutely.
And that's wrong.
Yeah.
It is so unbelievably wrong that you can do that.
And I think that is a great segue into, Dwayne, what you're I said, but what are you calling it? Is it a proposal?
I'm calling it a code of conduct. So let me just articulate the problem statement first.
Yeah.
So, and I want to pick up on a point. I did get on a conversation with Google and TripAdvisor and called this out. Now, they did not use the word review. They used the word opinion. So it's the guest's opinion of the experience. They've also said they are not responsible for the honesty of that opinion, and that I shouldn't worry because I've got a 4.6 rating.
They actually said that,
and I've got that in writing from TripAdvisor as well. So I've sold that by Google, and I've got in writing by TripAdvisor.
Awesome.
But the problem statement here is that the platforms have, this is content, and the platforms have an extremely low standard for the content.
Yep.
It's heavily weighted to the author, and restaurants need to demonstrate that as hate speech, bullying, profanities, etc., to have it removed. So my example, calling someone on the spectrum, there's no problem with that.
That's apparently okay.
There's no problem with that. Okay, so the other thing is you've got an option to go to the e-safety commissioner if you think it's bad enough, and I did. And the e-safety commissioner sent me a whole bunch of information about how to pursue this as defamation, because I can't demonstrate serious harm to an individual. Yes, two people cried, but that is not serious harm
As defined by the Act.
with as the
Yeah,
act. And
yeah.
then you go down the defamation path. I must demonstrate serious financial loss. Right, so that's an even higher standard. It is really difficult to quantify
You
because
can't.
someone reads
How?
it,
Yeah,
doesn't
exactly.
go. You can't quantify that. So we've got an extremely low standard for the content and too high a standard to do something about the content.
Yeah.
Even the ACCC, if I go and get a bot to write me, and you could do this in AI,
Yeah.
write me 10,000 reviews and post it, I can get a $10 million fine.
Yeah.
So I can't even counter it, but you don't have that same rigor against these keyboard warriors. So that's where I'm at with this.
And I think that
No,
the big part, before you get into sort of listing, and I suppose
yeah,
there's a big part of it that I think that for me is the most critical part, and it's kind of what TK was saying, is proving that it's real. You know, there's that ability to prove that it's real. So let's go through the proposal if we can. If we don't have to go through in
yeah, we can.
significant detail, but I think there's some pretty key points in there that I think are really, really valid. So I'm happy to be led by you on this one.
Yeah, so basically, I've got through. It's a code of conduct. So, uh, the federal government was suggesting a code of conduct for those for the children on social media. They decided to legislate instead. So it's a code of conduct. So it's basically guidelines more than enforceable. So, and I was hoping that the e-safety commission could champion it in that role, but it's reviewers must provide their contact details. I don't see that a problem for our industry, and because we do get the contact details
Yep.
as part of the booking, email, phone
If
numbers,
they've booked,
etc.
I suppose when we don't is when it's a walk-in or whatever else, right? But the majority of, certainly our venues, we're 80-90% booked. So they're bookings rather than walk-in.
We're
So
half booked, half gone.
walk-in, yep.
Yeah. So that's the first thing that we get the reviewers' contact details. I then want uh, the reviewer to have a statement of truth. And what I mean by this is when you fill in a form, even with say Google, when you check the box, I affirm that this is true and factual. Just check the box.
Yep.
That will assist the restaurant later if they can demonstrate that it's
Fraudulent.
false.
Yeah.
So just a checkbox. And the last one is that we can get the platforms to remove the contact if we can't get hold of the point of contact, and we can demonstrate that we have attempted to contact the person and then they're not contactable. At no stage have I asked for, I don't want negative reviews. I need the feedback,
Yeah.
but I just want know who it is because
Yep.
they know who I am. They say it's true, and then I have a means to contact them.
Yep.
That's it.
And I don't think that really that's a hell of a lot at all. I mean, like we said, you're getting all of that generally when someone books anyway, but it's those, the eggs, the people with no profiles, the first review ever, those kind of things. Like, are these real? We have no idea. We talked about last year. I know we were talking about reviews about competitors potentially, jumping on and doing negative reviews.
What you got to do is look at all the community notice board pages and I know there's a raft of chef ones now and you see the anonymous contributors who just take people to task over the most ridiculous shit.
Yeah.
And the only reason they go anonymous is because they don't want the blowback.
Of course, exactly.
So it's like either sack up and have a voice, or did you get that again?
Yeah.
Or don't post a review. I'm with you. Like tick a box. Like that all sounds so easy,
So simple, right?
and all it does is just give a little bit of ownership.
Yeah.
Like if you want to do this, then. But you've got to have a face.
I think the other thing is, with all of that, because the idea of you reaching out to someone, it's not to get it removed necessarily. It's to really understand what happened so that you can fix it, so that no one else has to experience whatever that is, if it is true.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I mean, like we we have someone in our business. This is a big part of their role. Is basically.
Well, in the hotel industry, there's teams
I had
of people.
KPIs it's like you've got to respond. You've got time limits. You've got length. You've got all this stuff that had to be done. If there was, it doesn't matter if it was positive or negative. It was for everything, but certainly for negatives, you're trying to turn them around, and it's like you do what you can. And I think that's the big thing. If someone's in the restaurant, they're having a shit time, and they tell you about it, you will do whatever you can to fix that.
Yeah,
whatever you can, and whether it's comping stuff, desserts, booze, whatever, the whole meal, come back again, we're really sorry, we fucked up.
Yeah.
You admit it and you move on. And it's that idea of, understanding that there's a problem, acknowledging there was a problem, apologizing for the problem, and then compensating for it. And the thing is, when people they come and they go, there's a problem, give me money. It's like there's a couple of steps missing here.
But what we're going to see, I believe, a real trend in the next very short while where these scams that are appearing more and more and more just through even text messages. Your toll is late, please click on this link and pay your toll, and people click on it and then you're fucked. I don't know, I've got an elderly mother who I have to go, do not open any text message unless you know the number. And I'm like, eventually, and you can see it coming out in the media now where these restaurants and cafes and bars are being held to ransom by these people who are posting this absolute bullshit lies, and they're so malicious about rats, food poisoning. It's so unbelievably detrimental. I'm not saying my steak was overcooked. They're going to fucking close you unless you give them money. And that if you do a bit of research in it now, it's very predominant in America. It's only a matter of time before we see more and more of it here. And unless there is some type of legislation around it, I don't know. Like, fuck, it's a slippery slope. Scary. But even this AI stuff, it feels as though the legislation's so lacking and it's moving so fast. I just hope we don't shit the bed and then the legislation comes in afterwards and we've got a massive mess to clean up.
Which, Dwayne, I suppose the next part of this is this is kind of something that you've sort of drawn up. It's not just 3 lines of this is what we should do. There's a lot more to it. There's a hell of a lot more to it. And you've presented it to a couple of bodies, haven't you? So let's talk about that part of it.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right. So I just want to restate, my goal is for higher standards and accountability on the review platform. So I'm not focused on the guests, right? I'm like you. We give out either free meals, we will give a voucher, or we'll give a refund if we fuck up, right? That is built into us. But what I've done is I've managed to speak to both Google and TripAdvisor. I have engaged with 7 politicians, and what I picked on was the Minister for Communications, the Shadow Minister for Communications, and then I started going through their profiles, and again, using AI, looking for politicians with a hospitality background, and wrote to them. So I've gone to them. I did get an amazing response from one senator in Queensland.
Really?
And
who was that?
Wants me to join his party, but
really? Can you tell him who he is? Come on.
Matt Canavan.
Yeah.
So he was just outstanding. The response obviously came through one of his staff, but it was a fantastic response.
It probably shows you a level of passion that he has for it, but right?
Absolutely. Yeah, because if he wasn't interested, you wouldn't have gone on. Which clearly has happened with others potentially. So,
I did speak to the Australian Restaurant and Cafe Association, and they mentioned that this comes up regularly. I grabbed them just before they were going to Canberra to do various sort of lobbying. The feedback that they got is from the politicians is use the defamation framework, and that's
just not going to work. That's
because of the burden of proof. So that's what I've done a fair bit. I have still got a complaint with the ACCC. I did get a response back from the E-Safety Commissioner that I didn't meet their threshold, but I'm going to keep going. And just keep doing this. It is a passion project. I spend my Sunday mornings and my Wednesday nights emailing. just to give you an idea what I'm doing, I take a book from, if you ever saw The Shawshank Redemption,
Yeah.
Andy Dufresne,
Yep.
that he consistently did that letter writing
Mm.
to force change.
Yep.
I'm email.
Yep.
So I'll just keep going, but I will get to letters and requests for face-to-face as I go.
And I think this is, one of the reasons why we wanted to have you on was to sort of really highlight this again, not just from our point of view, but from a real-world example of where this hasn't worked, and something should be done about it. And then the next part of it, and this is a difficult thing because, like you said, it's like you might have to write 10 million letters before someone actually listens. But by the power of community, things can happen. And the idea of if we in some way can, to the 4 people that are still listening at this point in time of the podcast, Dwayn, you can't listen to this one, but to those people that do listen, it's like, well, we need to do something. It's like, what are the things we can do? And I think that's the bit where everyone would agree with you. I don't think there's an operator in Australia that would have any issues with any of this, and they would all champion this because it makes sense at a base level, just human level, regardless of anything else. And I would like to think that if we have any kind of platform in this, we will share it. We will hopefully get the word out in by using the small platform that we have, because people will be able to help. By writing that letter, by sending that email, all of a sudden one email becomes 3 on a Wednesday instead of Sunday now becomes 10 emails on a Sunday from everyone asking the same thing. They're going to start paying. Someone will pay attention, and then it's the next part of it. And from a media perspective, it's like, hey, who are the people that are going to run with this? Who are the people going to want to do this? Where is the story for them? Because that's what you need to amplify these 100%. Kind of things. So I think and we'll follow this, and we'll work with you as much as we possibly can to get this out there and to get other people thinking in a similar vein of what they can actually have how they may actually be able to have an impact here, as opposed to it's just Google, it's what do we do? You can't get them taken down. Let's just move on, and it's a news cycle. Someone will forget about it and everything else. But those 2 staff members that were crying in the restaurant because of what someone said to them, they will never forget that.
No, or they might just leave the industry because they've had a gutful.
100%.
That's right. I did come up with a call of action. So I know where you come from, TK, around reviews or opinions. But if you use the reviews and you respond, report the ones that you don't like. If it's not removed, take a screenshot, email it to your local MP and copy in the communications minister. One of the things I've been doing is going through the politicians that I've been contacting and showing them what people are saying about them. You're a 2-star and here's the 1-star reviews about you. There's some horrible things that are said about our politicians.
I actually feel like that could be a fun exercise. I actually want to do that. How to make yourself feel good.
It's been awesome.
Go and read Google reviews for a poly. That'd be great.
We should have, sorry to chime in, but there should be we should have the same subject line for every email.
100%, yeah.
So it's exactly the same. Yeah. There's some sort of continuity.
100%, yeah, exactly. We're all coming from the same family. We're coming for you.
If it is malicious and cyberbullying, you need to report it to the E-Safety Commissioner and the ACCC. The other one, which I love doing at the beginning of the week, Google and TripAdvisor do try and sell us stuff. They try and sell us Google ads. They try and get us to upgrade our plans. Tell them that their lack of accountability. I am spending more money with Microsoft and Meta. I know I'm one restaurant, but it'll get through. And then the other thing I'm working on is an e-petition for the House of Reps. I've got to keep it down to 250 words. I'm going to push that throughout the industry. So if I can get everybody signing up to that e-petition, it is a way you can make change.
Yep. I think that's a great one because
get hold of that.
Oh mate, that will be going into a lot of databases.
We can get hold of that. We'll get some signatures on that.
I'll just need to maybe talk to you, Dwayn, about some spam rules, but we can talk about that offline. But I think that the other thing that you did mention, which is probably the last step, I suppose, if. And it's not even if people don't do something or the government doesn't step in or whoever. was the idea that we talked about with the sharing of information between venues.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk us through that? Or I mean, that's as I said, that's a minefield, isn't it? But
it is. So throughout the code of conduct, one of the main concerns you have is the protection of personal information. What I started looking at is whether I could leverage off the Liquor Act, because there is you've got the court blacklisting, you've got the venue blacklisting and the police blacklisting. Whether I can leverage off something like that we do have a register. Obviously, the smaller cafes and that don't necessarily use the platforms that support the Liquor app or don't have a liquor license. But I was also looking at whether I can build a database and share it across the restaurants. But it wouldn't necessarily pick up the anonymous ones. I've got one idiot called AK that basically said some horrible things, and we didn't even feed him. He was told 15 minutes before the kitchen closed that we're closing the kitchen. You would have to order extremely quickly, and walked out, but gave us a scathing review about, and it went on to, we'd racial vilified him and that sort of thing. It was just terrible review.
Yeah.
So we've got to do something.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, is that there's so many layers of challenge here in terms of there's the human cost, which is a big one. I think that we need to sort of consider. There's the physical cost of time, labour in doing all of this. Even things like you said, like reporting stuff to the e-commissioner. How easy is that to do? Is that something that's just a couple of buttons and we're done, or is it something that does take some time?
No, these forms are really easy. Both the ACCC and the e-safety commissioner are very easy forms. I got a response from the e-safety commissioner in 6 days. Still waiting for the ACCC, but it is easy. But if I keep doing it, and I keep bringing it to the forefront, then somebody's going to listen to your point.
I was going to say what we should do is we'll get a link that we can put up, Corey, if we can. We might even link to it. We'll have it up on wherever we put things up, so that people can.
It'll be in the show notes.
Yeah,
in the description.
Sure. Yeah, in that bit where, because I honestly, I didn't know you could do that. And I think that a lot of people wouldn't know that you could do something, because it's so formal and it seems so big and grand and it's the government, But if it's a couple of clicks,
our social media girls has reported a couple. Even though we don't ever respond to them, right? The only time I've probably got something out of it was, I think Rice Boy was a year and a bit old. And I woke up to somebody going, "Have you seen this review?" And I'm like, "Oh."
Always a great message to get.
And I remember it distinctly. It was a Saturday morning. I hadn't even got out of bed yet. And I grabbed my phone, I flicked on it. And this bitch tore me up.
This person?
No. I could have been way worse than that. She tore me up, so personally attacked me, right? She called me a misogynist. She commented on the fact that I only hire young girls with short skirts. I hadn't even hired one front of house person at Rice Boy, right?
Yeah.
And it was just it's exactly what you're saying. It was so belligerently wrong and misleading. And yes, they took a stab at the food, but it wasn't major. It was, they took a stab at the decor. And it was all about me personally. And then,
just to confirm, you weren't in the venue.
I wasn't in the venue. No. And then posted it. I'm sure it was on Google, but used their real name, which then I responded. But then I tagged in, and I put it up on our social media, and I tagged in Jared Bly, Hot 91, our local radio station, the Courier Mail, the Sunshine Coast Daily. And I had all these people jump on the social media, and I tagged her into it.
Yeah.
And I think I did it at 8:30. Melissa would be able to tell you everything about this because she just seen red.
Yeah.
And within an hour and a half, she'd pulled the review down. She deleted her LinkedIn account because she was the daughter of quite a reputable lawyer on the Sunshine Coast. Deleted her social media, deleted her LinkedIn, deleted the actual post. And I'm like, it still fucked my day up, but I got a little bit of satisfaction out of it. But it's like,
you shouldn't have
and
to.
from that day on, I'm like, I don't even read them.
I think that's best.
And then Luke goes to me frequently. He goes, "Oh, did you see that review?" I'm like, "Why are you saying
know
that
the
all
answer,
these
yeah.
years on?"
Yeah.
But I'm still an advocate that something needs to be done.
Yeah.
It really does, because it can really hurt people. It can, the life that we live at the moment with the mental health at the extreme that it is in our industry and
Particularly,
everywhere, but in our industry, it's right.
Absolutely.
We've got to. That's an important. It's so important that we address that.
Well, as employers as well, we have a responsibility of duty
Yes.
of care, and it's like this is part of that. Like if we
Yes.
can't, these people, like the fact that you can do it from 10,000 kilometers away. Like you could do a review right now, Dwayn, from your house in Hong Kong and say, Rice Boy was shit. And it's like there's something wrong with that.
There really is.
Yeah, and it's fundamentally wrong. And going back to what I was saying before, there's the human cost, there's the physical cost of that, but then there's also the damage, the potential cost that you'll never know, because one person, 10 people see that review, they're like, nah, not going there because I saw that one-star review. I don't, when I go out, and we've talked about this before, I don't read reviews. I don't care. I want to have the experience, and just see what happens. But that's not always the case in our house. So there might be some reviews will come up. And maybe if I'm looking for like accommodation somewhere, particularly, in another country or something like that, it's like, I want to get some reviews about the place and da-da-da-da. But it's still just, I think the key part of it, it's an opinion. Mm-hmm. And this is why I hate using this word review. And it's really interesting that Google have chosen to use the word opinion, because that's not how it sort of reads. That's not how it feels.
Especially when the tag says reviews.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what the fuck?
But even the like the internal system reviews, like with 7 Rooms and Open Table and those kind of things that are controlled before they go public. Yeah. Just the time involved in actually just going through those, and for us, with 5 restaurants, that are doing hundreds of covers a day, you could potentially it's just a stupid amount of cost.
And I'm okay with the 7 Rooms and the Open Table review, because they've got a face.
Yeah.
I can say, okay, cool. You were in last night at 7 p.m. This is the table you sat at. That's your name. That's your email address. That's your phone number.
And I know what you do straight away is look at the camera.
Yeah, 100%. Just double check they were there, and then I would say to Luke, my restaurant manager, have you? Yeah, no, I wasn't there last night. Well, you get Simo to give him a buzz and talk to him.
Let's find out what happened.
Yeah, at the very least, let's get him his money back.
Yeah,
like
if it's legit.
Legit. Yeah. Have a conversation.
Yeah.
And I think
we use 7 Rooms now, and as I said, I review them every morning, but we do give vouchers and discounts if we fuck up.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if somebody is malicious and publishes it on Facebook or Google, as well as 7 Rooms,
or if you ask me for it, I'm out as well. If you ask me straight up for a discount or a voucher,
that's it was like, I don't know, Dwayn, if you saw the one from the weekend, did you see this thing from? I think it was Sydney. I'm not sure. Video. So there's basically guys like, we're not paying for the meal, da-da-da. There's a video of him plucking armpit hair out.
I did see that.
And putting it in the dish. And it's like, are you joking? And this is I'm pretty sure I know the restaurant. I'm not going to say it, but it was in Sydney. And there was a restaurant next door. It was like, holy shit, we know them. We did that. They did that last week. And they said there was a rock in there. It's like, oh, come on. This is a family.
Mm.
It's a dude with his partner and kids around a table, and they do this as a regular thing.
We had the first threat come through. It came via email first, of a guy who dined at Piggyback over a year ago and hit a garden bed in his car and popped his tyre. And then, this is 12 months later, emailed us and said, I drove past Piggyback and I noticed you painted your garden beds. 12 months ago, I dined at your restaurant. I hit that garden bed. I popped my tyre, and then I had to take my car in. I had to not only get one tyre fixed, I had to get all 4 tyres fixed. They were $280 a tyre. My expectations is you pay for them, or else I'm going to put up a bad review.
Yeah.
So now, if you had said on the night, look,
hey,
your garden bed's not lit, which it is. If there was any, At the very least, I would have given him a voucher and said, it's shit about your car.
Yeah.
I won't charge you for fucking my
feel-
garden bed up.
I feel bad for you,
but you send me a threatening email wanting 4 new tyres, like, you're out, mate.
that went well, I'm sure. Yeah.
Well, I sent him an email back.
I'm sure you did.
And I said, no, we won't be doing that. I haven't even known.
I mean, my team don't come in to do a shit job.
No.
They always put their heart and soul in this.
Such a good point.
And it's unbelievable what people write.
Yeah, it is. And people need to know that, and I know that it's like anything, right? The squeakiest wheel gets the most attention, because if you looked at if you got a reasonably decent restaurant, most people will go in there and they understand that, and they'll have a great time. And even if they don't have a great time, they're understanding if something goes wrong and it's been addressed.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
Very rarely have we ever had an issue, be it minor or even major, where if it's been addressed on the night in the venue, that they haven't left okay.
Yeah.
They might have been disappointed, but
you'll take okay.
And they'll come back.
From a recovery point of view, okay is fine.
Yep.
Okay is good.
Yep.
As long as they're not in a place where they're going to leave going, I hate that place.
Yeah.
They ruined my day.
Stitch me out.
And I'm going to tell everyone I know.
Yeah.
And then another couple of million people that I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, that's the bit, right?
And I think I always at school had a massive problem with schoolyard bullies. Like, I was drawn to them. Like, it was, I used to hate it so bad. And I think it's where I get so emotional about it is when you want to threaten me over an email. It's like, really?
Yeah, come and do it to my face.
Yeah, come. Yeah. You want to post it online?
Yeah,
like,
and that's like going back to that. The original kind of situation with that second review when it was just like, come on in. Let's talk about this as
defusing
adult humans.
Yeah.
And no, I can't do that. It's like, well, then that's on you, mate. Sorry.
And we weren't going to give the guy a hard time. We were going to explain why he didn't receive the service he expected.
Yeah.
And had the head chef lined up, everything, but just then turned into a keyboard warrior.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that it's a lot easier to do it with a screen in front of you than it is face to face. And I guarantee that all of those reviews, if they were standing in front of anyone standing in front of you, Dwayn, they wouldn't say what they would say with the keyboard.
No.
There's just no way. Yeah. Well, they wouldn't be able to articulate it anyway, because generally, anyway, I'm not going to get derogatory.
But even though it certainly won't be as noisy as what it will be when they get behind their computer, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
But the one thing I'll plead with people who do review is, if you want to keep reviewing or having an opinion online, do it, but just be respectful about it. Yeah. Or if you really want to make a difference, just try politely doing it in the venue, and I reckon you're going to end up with a better outcome.
Or reach out directly. And
you'll make your restaurant better that you like going to, clearly, because you've gone there in the first place.
Yeah.
But 2, you don't have to pay for something you wasn't satisfied with.
No.
And most people, I agree, will in some way will compensate you for the lack of service or food or whatever.
It becomes so much more difficult once you've left the venue.
God, in so many ways.
Yeah. For everyone. It's like you can't recover a table when the table doesn't exist.
Yeah.
It's like we're 3 days on. Like, what do you want me to do at this point in time? So,
that's it.
So, Dwayn, is there any kind of, is there anything else that you think that we can do or that people should be doing? I mean, I really like that idea of emailing the E-Safety Commissioner and the ACCC or whoever it is you think that they should be emailing. I think that's a great idea. But is there anything else?
Yeah, I've thought through a lot of approaches. So I've even spoken to guests how we should get better. I mean, I've moved to 7 rooms and I've got that automated email that says, give me feedback. Yep. I've even modified the words that we're after constructive criticism. Yeah. But I think we need to do something in the venue to get feedback beyond at POS saying, how was your meal? Yeah, I've got to work out something to do there. I lived in Singapore for a few years, and I met the individual that wrote a book called Up Your Service. He's the one that put the smiley faces. Maybe it's something as the 5 smiley faces
in the bathroom.
Maybe it's something as simple as that. Yeah. I've got to work something out because I need the feedback.
Absolutely, and I think that there is something about people not wanting to be mean. Like a lot of
Yeah.
people don't want to be nasty. So, thankfully, the majority of people aren't assholes.
No.
So, they don't want to necessarily, when it's in front of someone, it's like when someone's standing over you going, oh, did you want to leave a tip?
Yeah.
It's like, well, I was going to, but now you're freaking me out. I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So,
Or a big bald-headed guy comes over the table and says, "There's a problem
how
with your
was
steak."
everything?
Oh,
Yeah.
fuck.
Yeah. The chef's out there with sweat dropping off him and blood going, what do you mean the steak was undercooked? Different conversation. But I think a lot of people, this is why online opinions work so well, is because they are anonymous and people don't necessarily want to rattle the cage so much in that sort of, maybe we're talking about 3 and 4 star, where it's not horrible, but it just wasn't great.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking about one I read recently, not of any of our venues. A new venue that's opened up, and a lot of sort of song and dance about this place in New South Wales. And the review that I read, it was the 3rd night of operation, and they're like, yeah, it was like, we do understand this is the 3rd night, but these were all the problems, and then just goes and it's like, just read your first sentence and shut up.
Yeah.
It's the 3rd night. Give them a minute, and it's like, and it wasn't constructive as well. It was like, this is you'd be just being mean.
We had personal friends of ours that wrote a review about Market Bistro the second night we were open because one of the lights was strobing.
Oh. What?
And gave us a 2-star review.
What?
Yes.
Ex-personal friends or still personal?
Yeah, for me. Melissa's still friends with them, but you're dead to me.
Off the Christmas card list.
I think they listen to the podcast. I know exactly who they fucking are too.
Oh, perfect.
But, I mean, like, second day and a strobing light. Mate, if you looked even deeper at Market Bistro on day 2, there was way more to pick on than a strobing light.
There was a lot
But
of fun.
I'm really interested in using the analytics with AI to summarise that, because I'm thinking I could probably even get some use, I can't even believe I'm saying this, out of Google reviews without reading them, if I can somehow get
them summarised.
AI to go, you need to look at these points because they're highlighted in...
And Seven Rooms does that. Like, they do that. That's now part of their
Yeah,
system.
yeah.
Is that you get that as so. And we, from our business point of view, that's a KPI for our guest experience manager, and she looks at that and reviews it and gives everyone an update every week of this is what's going on and this is what we've done and this is the recovery and da-da-da-da. But that's her job.
Yeah.
It's like we've got someone on payroll. That's her full-time job, is to basically look after that. It's like, this is nuts.
Your business has got so many managers. It's
Oh,
not ever
mate,
fun.
yeah.
Who manages the managers?
The feature I like is the linking the review to the server plus the spend per table.
Yep.
We use that a lot.
Yep.
And we give regular, I think it's once a month, Amazon gift vouchers to the star front of house performer.
Yep.
And it is based on that feature.
Yep.
And it works. But again, we've decided we've got a language that we say there's a Karen and a Kevin. So the Karen and the Kevins,
Right.
we try and exclude those particular reviews.
And I think that's like, I was talking to TK earlier about some golf clubs, and I was getting analysed for something yesterday, and which was unpleasant. But the idea of dispersion, you're going to take out those outliers because they're not real. So it's like, well, you shanked that one left and you shanked that one right. We'll get rid of those, and that's actually kind of true. This bit here, it's that mean versus median, sort of thing that you can just get rid of them completely, and you're going to end up
Maybe
close.
bring back the guest comment card.
Physical card.
Yeah.
My very first restaurant, Melissa used to hate it, but we had straight out of the Hyatt playbook, mate.
Right,
It was
the,
the guest comment cards.
What are they called? There's another word for them. Feet like no. What the hell were they called? There's another word for exactly that, I think, or I might be going crazy.
So in our bill file, we had the bill plus the little thank you card. Then we had the guest feedback card.
And
would you like to mention any
Suggestion
staff
box.
member?
Suggestion box. Thank you.
Would you like to mention any particular staff member? It worked really well.
Yeah. Sometimes
That-
my
that was-
brain sits behind me by about 3 meters.
Well, we didn't even have a Facebook page.
I was going to say, was the internet alive?
Just, I think.
But I think the other thing, Dwayne, I just want to mention is that what you've managed to do is, which I think is incredible, is bring a rich history of nothing to do with hospitality
Yes.
into hospitality and immediately make a difference, to your business, which I think is obviously your priority. But with this next bit, potentially could affect
You could help thousands
everyone.
of people.
I think, and really at that, the individual operators, the mum and dads, the single people that have got their own businesses that don't have the time, don't have the layers of management for support. It's like, but if they can find a way, to carve out half an hour a week to just deal with this stuff, so that they may never have to deal with it in the future, it will have such a big impact. So,
totally agree.
Mate, kudos to you for what you're trying to do. And,
Well done.
as I said, we're here for the journey. We're here to help if we can. I look forward to seeing what's next.
We can't wait to have a feed up in your restaurant. We were having a good look
You're welcome
online before. It
anytime,
looks
guys.
amazing. So Hervey Bay is such a
place.
beautiful part of the world. So you're very fortunate to have the spot you've got up there, and I'm sure that the food's as delicious in person as what it looks like online. So well done, congratulations.
Absolutely. And when you get back, make sure you let us know, and we might come for a road trip and do Behind on tour. That could be a bit of fun.
Pile into Corey's van and away we go.
Welcome anytime. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, mate. Thanks so much for
And
your time.
keep up the podcast.
Oh, thank you.
Keep it up. It is awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, mate. We really appreciate the support, and thank you again for your time. It's been awesome. Cheers, mate.
Thanks,
Talk soon.
Cheers.